So today I wanted to talk about something in relation to geopolitics. I know I've been talking largely about mental health stuff, but this is also an area of interest of mine that I talk about a lot with certain friends. So, with everything going on with Iran right now, there's a lot of people that are worrying. They think it's going to escalate into some sort of war. That is possible. That is completely possible that this escalates into a regional conflict between Israel and Iran and perhaps drawing in some other neighbors. That is depending on what Israel does next. Because we have to remember something. Israel struck a diplomatic installation. And yes, there was a target in there, but they struck a diplomatic installation in a foreign country. To not expect a response would be naive at best, if not downright careless. They had to have expected a response. And I honestly think that the strike on the military installation that did occur, although there was so many projectiles that were fired, Iran knew that most of them wouldn't get through. And so calculating for a certain percentage that would make it, yeah, I would argue that the strike against the military installation in Israel was a measured response. I'm not saying it's a good thing, but when we're talking about geopolitics, it's something really important to remember. There is no good or bad. There is no moral right or wrong. There is interests and actions and responses to actions. It all depends on what is the interest in a situation and what is the measured response to a situation. And I think that what Iran did makes sense. It really makes a lot of sense for a measured reaction to the attack that they had sustained. Now, what's going to happen next? Well, it really depends. It depends on whether or not Israel wants to escalate things. And so we kind of have to wait and see. Now, I do know that the United States has said, we're going to back you up, but don't go on the offense. Don't create more problems. America has a limit to the support they're willing to offer Israel, especially right now, because America as a government is finally starting to come around to the ceasefire side of the argument. And as long as that continues, as long as calls for ceasefire continue to grow amongst the American population for the conflict in Gaza, the support for Israel will begin to become more conditional and will start to fade a little bit. Now, we're not going to back down from Israel. They're our strongest ally in the region, but we can put conditions on that relationship. And that's going to put Netanyahu in a really troubling position because he needs American support to continue to defend himself against potential retaliation. Retaliation, again, from actions that Israel brought upon themselves in some ways. Yes, October 7th was an unsolicited attack. Not saying that. I will 100% condemn what happened on October 7th, but everything that's happened since, one would argue, is disproportional to the initial assault. The numbers of people are not proportional. The amount of damage to infrastructure is not proportional. Nothing about the response has been proportional. So when we're talking about Iran and their response, let's just say it was proportional to what happened. In fact, I would even argue that it wasn't even as severe because they attacked a military installation, not a diplomatic one, the way the Israelis did. So when we're looking at this situation, just remember, yes, it can escalate, but we are talking about, it is a poker game where everyone is cheating. It is the grand game of geopolitics, and moves are not based on morality. There is no such thing as good or bad, right or wrong. There is simply interests and moves on a board. I know it sounds a little heartless, but we have to look at it this way. And right now, we have to think about what are the next moves? What is Israel going to do? And I think Israel has a very strong chance of escalating because Netanyahu right now is largely in the pocket of the far right of his coalition government, who is threatening to abandon him if he doesn't continue with the war in Gaza. So he's stuck on one side with all of the world calling for ceasefire. He's stuck on the other side with the part of the government that's giving him the majority and keeping him in power, saying they'll pull that. They will pull that support, and he will lose his majority. He will lose power, and very likely will be tried for corruption because he's already under investigation for that. And the whole reason why he's siding with the right now is largely because it benefits him because they're protecting him from the courts. It's a tight spot. I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to hazard to guess they're probably going to escalate because I don't think Netanyahu has a choice. I think he is in the pocket of some very, very dangerous people, and I have no sympathy for him for the choices he's making, but I understand that they are coming from a position of self-interest and trying to protect his own position of power. So that's my 2 cents on what's going on. I'll probably have more to offer later, but I just wanted to respond to what I had been reading in the news and what I've been hearing about. So that's my 2 cents. If you have any comments or you want to like or follow, I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much.